All right. Hello, eighth grade. So we're going to do 7-1. Okay. Pairs of angles. This is like flashback to COVID. I'm trying to think if you guys even had me for math and COVID. I don't know. Anyway, I recorded a lot of my math lessons. So we're going to do 7-1, and then I'm going to do 7-2 because I'm going to be gone. 7-1 is mostly for you, Jeannie, because there's a lot of terms in here, and I feel like this will give you a better base for the rest of this chapter, and then the rest of you can review this video too if you need it, because like I said, there's a lot in here. Okay, so let's jump right in. So we're going to talk about first we're going to talk about pairs of angles. Okay, pairs, meaning how many does there have to be? How many is in a pair? 2. Okay, so look at your textbook. Okay, we've got adjacent angles, congruent angles, vertical angles, supplementary angles, complementary angles. All of those angles you cannot have one of. I cannot have one supplementary angle or one adjacent angle. There have to be 2. Okay, it's like saying I'm married, but there's only me. Okay, it doesn't make sense. There has to be 2 people to be married. Okay, so that's what we're talking about, pairs of angles. All right, so first one, okay, vertical angles. And this symbol right here means angles. Okay, it's like a angle, like a picture of an angle with an S in it. It's just a shortcut way of saying angles. All right, you could write out the word angles if that makes you happy. Okay, vertical angles. Vertical angles. All right, that's our first word, and that is formed by 2 intersecting lines and are opposite each other. So pause a minute, write out the definition. Okay, I don't need to do that with you myself. You can see it in your book. So, okay, formed by intersecting lines that are opposite each other. But I am going to draw it. So after you write out the definition, we're going to do a picture. Okay, it says they're formed by intersecting lines. Okay, so here's my intersecting lines. Intersecting just means they're crossing, crossing over each other. Okay, and they are opposite each other. Okay, they're right across from each other. So here I would say angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles. And this is how you say the name of the angle, angle 1. So I make that little angle symbol. Okay, and angle 2 are vertical angles. Okay, they're right across from each other. They're not touching, they're not next to each other, they're across from each other. All right, now this is another interesting thing. The next term in your book is congruent angles. Okay, again with the shortcut way of writing angles. Congruent angles have the same measure. So pause the video, write out the definition, have the same measure. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now that vertical angles are congruent. And this is the symbol. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. They have the same measure. This symbol, it's a equal sign with a squiggle on the top, means congruent. So if the angle 1 measures 50 degrees, guess what the angle 2 measures? 50 degrees. Okay, they have the same measure. The stuff that we're going over today is almost all stuff we did last year. Okay, I know some of you, some kiddos with this topic in math, they either get it and they're like, this is really cool because it's something really different, or they're like, yeah, this is you might be speaking Mandarin Chinese. I don't know what you're saying. So so that's why, it's good to have this on video. You can come back and watch it again. There's also probably a bazillion videos on YouTube if you wanted to look them up too. They won't be as funny and interesting as me, but you can give it a try. All right. So angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent, same measure. All right. Next one, adjacent angles. Okay, adjacent angles. And I just heard 7th grade learning about this the other day in their math class with Mr. C. Okay, adjacent angles, our definition is that they have a common vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. Pause it, write the video. Okay. Did you pause it, write the video? Okay. Pause the video and write the definition. Okay, this is a kind of a key word for you. They're neighbors. Okay, adjacent angles are neighbors. Okay. They share a side. Okay, so here's angle 1 and angle 2. I'm going to use a different color here for a minute. Here's the side they share. Okay, that side is part of both angle 1 and it's part of angle 2. Okay, they're touching, they're neighbors. All right. Do adjacent angles have to be congruent? They kind of look congruent here. Okay, let me draw another pair of adjacent angles. I'm going to start with the right angle. Okay, now here's angle 1 and angle 2. Do they meet the definition? Do they share a side? Yep. They share a vertex? Yep. But are they congruent? Are they the same? No. So adjacent angles can be congruent, but they don't have to be. Okay? So that's important for us to know. They don't have to be congruent. I'm just going to use the symbol for congruent. Okay? All right. So we've learned about vertical angles. We've learned about adjacent angles. So vertical angles was our first kind. Adjacent angles was our second kind. Okay? And now we're going to jump into actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this in a little bit of a different order. We're gonna jump into our next two, which are supplementary and complementary, and then we'll go back and do the examples and the quick checks. Okay, supplementary angles. Okay, guess what I'm gonna tell you to do? Pause it and write the definition. Okay, pause it and write the definition. They add up to 180. Okay, that's what your definition should say. Then when I add the two measurements of the two supplementary angles, they add up to 180. Here is a nice little memory trick for you. If I start with the letter S, and I get ... it makes the number 8. Okay, supplementary angles are 180 degrees. Okay, now, while we're at it, we're going to get our definition of complementary in there too. Complementary angles, pause it. Write the definition. Okay, complementary, if I start with the letter C and add a ... what number did I make? A 9. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So if you start with that S for supplementary and C for complementary, it'll make an 8 or a 9, which will help you remember 180 degrees and 90 degrees. Okay? Okay, so now that we've got those definitions, let's look at some examples, okay? This is going to be a big, huge key for you. We're going to write it all in capitals to try to make it stand out. If you've got a colored pen or something, you could do that too. Oh, Jeannie, I know you've got a bunch of cool colored pens. You could use it. A straight line equals 180 degrees, okay? So anytime you see a straight line, that's 180 degrees. So if I take a line and add that in, now I have two angles. I have this angle right here and this angle right here. But you know what? Together they make a straight line, and that straight line is 180 degrees. So whenever you see a straight line split into two parts, when you add those two parts, you're going to get 180 degrees. Let me show you what I mean kind of with my arms, okay? So here's, 0 degrees. And if I'm making an angle, I've got, 10, 15, 30, 45. Okay, I get to here, right? My straight corner, it's 90 degrees. If I keep going, I'm going bigger, 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 100 degrees, 120, 160, straight out would be 180. That's that straight line, okay? 180. So if I split it in two parts, those two parts have to add up to be 180, okay? So this would be angle 1 and angle 2. So if I'm going to put an M in front of this, and you're going to start seeing that. That means the measure of angle 1. If I take the measure of angle 1 and I add the measure of angle 2, I have to get 180 degrees. Okay? All right, so that's my supplementary. Okay, that's my supplementary angles. They add up to be 180. Okay? Now, let's do complementary. Erase that so I have more board space. All right, my complementary angles add up to be what? Remember C, ... Okay, they add up to be 90. So that's a straight, a right angle, okay? But it's split into two parts. So here's my angle 1 and angle 2 again. So now, if I take the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2, that has to be 90 degrees. Okay, that has to be 90 degrees. I'm going to try turning off the set of lights. Oh, not this one. I can't really tell if that helped at all, actually. That might have helped a little bit. Okay. All right, so measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is 90 degrees. Okay? All right. That's my complementary angle. All right, let's go back now and tackle a few of these examples. So let's look at example 1. Okay? This is on page 214. Name a pair of adjacent angles and a pair of vertical angles in the photo at the right. Find the measure of angle JBT. Okay, adjacent angles and vertical angles. So let's write that out. Remember we said adjacent. What was our keyword for adjacent? Neighbors. They share a side. Okay. And in this problem, we're going to talk about naming angles kind of in the middle of this too. So let's look. And we're going to look right at the answer because we're going to kind of pick that apart. So look at the answer. DBJ and JBT are adjacent. So and angle JBT. So what this means when you see these angle names, this guy right here, that B, that's the vertex. That's the middle point of the angle. Okay? When you have an angle, any angle, okay, let's say, oh, here's my angle. This is the vertex right here, this point. Okay, that middle point. All right? So whatever letter is in the middle has to be the vertex. Okay? So when you see that angle, DBJ, okay, it looks like this in the picture. B is the vertex. Here's the D, here's the J. Okay, so that's angle DBJ. All right, and it is adjacent angle to JBT. So that goes this way. Doesn't look exactly like the picture, but you get the idea. Okay, here's my T, JBT. Okay, now could I go the other way? Could I call this angle TBJ? Sure, as long as the B is in the middle. Could I call this one JBD? Yep, as long as the B's in the middle. You can put the letters that are on the side rays. You can put them in any order, but the vertex letter has to be in the middle. Okay. All right. So and the vertical angles. It wants a pair of vertical angles. So remember, vertical angles are across. They're opposite from each other, and they are congruent. They're the same measurement. Okay. So they said JBT is a vertical angle with DBY. Okay, so find those in the picture. Okay, find those in the picture. Let me see if I can hold it up. Okay, so JBT would be here. JBT, ooh, golly. JBT, okay, and DBY. DBY here. DBY. Okay, so they're right across from each other. And remember what I said? Are they congruent? Are they equal? Yes, they are. So if DBY is 80, JBT must be 80. Okay. So I use that M, which means the measure of. Okay. The measure of angle JBT equals 80 degrees. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to have you do the quick check on this one because, well, yeah, it's going to be hard for me to check it with you because there's a lot going on there and I'm not going to take the time to write that all on the board. I think you get the idea. Okay, we're going to go on to example 2. Example 2 is find the supplement of this angle. So measure of angle. Oops, I'll try to write that a little bit neater. Measure of angle BCD is 121, and they want you to find the supplement. They're saying if that's one of them, what's the other one that they're going to add up to be 180 degrees? Okay, so we know we've got this one, and we don't know what the other one is, but we know together they have to add up to be 180. So this is like any equation. Okay, if I've only got one variable, I know I can solve it. Okay. So minus 121 from both sides. Okay, you're basically just subtracting it from 180, and you're going to get 59. Okay? All right, let's look at quick check 2. Okay, I want you to pause the video. No cheating. Try quick check 2, and then turn the video back on. Okay? All right, so an angle has a measure of 47. Find its supplement. Okay, so x plus 47 said supplement. Remember my trick there. Make it a 180. Okay, so subtract 47 from each side, And the measure of this angle is 133 degrees. Now, how can I tell if I'm right? Is there any way to check this, or just I have to be like, oh, you add them. Add 133 and 47. They better give you 180. Okay. All right. Example 3. Oh, I love example 3. This is where it gets fun. It's like a big puzzle. Okay. So I'm going to draw the picture. Okay. And I want you to draw it in your notes. So copy the picture in your notes. And then we got one coming right through here. Okay. We've got this here. We've got 1, 5, 4, 2, 3. Okay, so here's our picture. All right, so they are telling us measure of angle 5 is 58 degrees. So I'm going to write that right in the picture, okay, so I can see it. And find the measures of angle 1 and 2. Okay, so here's where we have to remember, okay, all these pairs that we've learned. There's more than one way to solve it, so don't let it freak you out, okay? Just start thinking like, okay, what do I know? What do I know? I know vertical angles are congruent. Well, what's a vertical angle with angle 5? What's opposite angle 5? I'll just kind of trace it here. There's angle 5. What's opposite it? Angle 3. So if angle 5 is 58 degrees, guess what angle 3 is? 58 degrees. And you're like, yeah, but I don't care about that one. I want to know 1 and 2. But that's okay. We got to kind of pick at this a little bit of time. Now, also remember, supplementary angles add up to be what? 180, but I'm asking about complementary. Complementary angles add up to be what? 90 degrees. Look at here. Here's my right angle. Okay. So angle 1 and angle 5 together must add up to be 90. Okay. So to find out this angle 1, I'm going to take 90 minus 58. Okay, because I'm going to find out what this guy is, what number 1 is. And that's going to tell me that it is 32. So that's one of my answers. The measure of angle 1 is 32. Now, check this out. Okay, well, I know this angle is 32 degrees. And look at what is its vertical angle? What is opposite it? Angle 2 is opposite. So if angle 1 is 32, guess what angle 2 is? 32. Okay. Now you get to pause the video and do quick check 3, which is to find the measures of angle 3 and 4. Okay. So here we go. We already found the measure of angle 3. We did that one before, because it was vertical angles with angle 5. Now I've got angle 4 here. Okay, I'm running out of colors. Yeah. Oh, I'm almost out of colors. Okay, so here's angle 4. Okay, remember what I said. This was a big key. We wrote it in all capitals. Go back and look in your notes. What was that thing we wrote in all capitals? That a straight line is 180. Here's my straight line. Look at this. Now, forget this part of the picture. You see that straight line? This straight line right here? That's 180 degrees. Okay, and look what it's split into. It's split into this angle and this angle. So if this angle is 90 degrees, guess what this angle is? It's got to add up to be 180. 90 plus 90 is 180. So the measure of angle 4 has to be 90 degrees. Okay? It's kind of a puzzle. You got to figure a little bit out at a time, like one of those Sudokus or a crossword or something. Okay? All right. The only thing we didn't talk about yet is perpendicular lines. That's an easy one. You can write that out. Write the definition. Just do it, at the bottom here. But perpendicular lines just means lines that cross to give you a 90-degree angle. So I would say these two lines are perpendicular. These lines here are perpendicular. Okay, they cross to form a 90-degree angle. All right. All right, that is it for today. Okay, you might want to come back and look at this one quite a bit because there's a lot in here. All right. Oh, I have a joke for you. But I don't remember. I'm turning my computer back on. I looked at it ahead of time. Oh, what do you call a boomerang that won't come back? A stick. Okay. See you next time. Bye, guys.